The S&P 500, the NASDAQ 100, as we're talking about here on the day. We look at what's happening with the NASDAQ. You can see you are pushing and you ended the day at all-time highs, 24,100. Again, tech semis are heating up. You look at ES, what happened here? You got that push again into 6,600 there, and then you kind of rejected here at the end of the day as well. You can also go into Dow. Dow kind of pulled back for a bulk of the, basically since last night, just kind of straight down. But ultimately, as we're looking right now, the stocks that all of you are probably trading, NASDAQ heavy names, you're at all-time highs. You look really good. So we have a lot to talk about, where we're going next week, what to anticipate, and ultimately some of the big stuff that's on the board for us. Because again, we have FOMC coming up as well, which I think is going to be probably the most decisive thing for the market, because it seems like rate cuts are almost guaranteed. The question is it 0.25 or 0.5? Because that will dictate how we move going forward. Now, before I go too far, I do want to say right now, if you're interested in seeing how we trade, what we trade every day, the Discord link is down below. This was a very slow week for me trading. I like to be transparently clear about that. You know, very few trades. Only trade I mentioned on the day was Netflix below 12,000 or 1,200, going down to 185 to 180 to 1185 to 1180. Which you did. You hit like 1182 right there in the sweet spot, but kind of bounced up. You get to see what we're doing as far as our watch list on futures, how we're looking at futures, all those levels in between there, trade ideas for more swing trades, etc. But also you get a deeper dive into what we're looking at for, you know, short-term scalps, intraday, etc. All the profits are there as well. The Discord link is down below. Hopefully this coming week we get more continuation, like dear God. But yeah, so where we're at right now, how we are moving. Now, going into next week, obviously, like, you're at all-time highs, and people get upset at me for, like, having a viewpoint here. Let me be transparently clear. You know, I try not to operate based off of feelings or emotion, unless it's, like, an event like FOMC. Then I'll get, like, because then you guys are typically saying, well, Tyler, what do you think is going to happen? So I try to at least give you, like, what I'm assuming is going to happen. Not that doesn't mean I'm trading off of it, but most of the time, it's just, like, literally what is happening in the market, and then how I will respond to said reactions, okay? Like getting above 24 previous all-time highs, and you expect price discovery. Like, that's just what we expect, right? So again, I never try to operate from a point of like, I have to be right. You know, this is just based off of feelings, emotions. This is based off of how I trade every single day, and all the videos from the day before, the day after, and you know, it's all built on the same thing. So if you have questions, please comment down below. I'd love to answer this. So going into next week, first thing I'll say right now is NVIDIA, you probably could have had a great run today. Like, you had a decent push, but like, this is NVIDIA since Wednesday. I mean, this is terrible. Like, you're just sitting in a little box doing nothing. And you know, if you follow the channel, you know I focus on NVIDIA a lot, because if NVIDIA is moving really good in one direction, typically speaking, you'll get good overall action from the NASDAQ or futures in that direction as well. It just tends to happen. NVIDIA is such a big mover, such a big name. That's what usually goes on. Today, I mean, you just chopped. Like, you didn't get continuation at all. Like, so that explains when you go look at NASDAQ for a bulk of the day, you know, and yesterday, you know, just nothing. Just chop, 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 chop. You break out. And then we kind of broke highs and did nothing for a while. And then we eventually went up and then came back down. So that's really how, like, the day has gone. So even though we're at all-time highs, even though I'm super bullish, the reaction today wasn't great. I want to see more. I want to see more volume. I want to see better continuation. We're just not seeing. This isn't even really like a great, I don't know. I'm not happy with the move that we had so far. Just going to tell you that right now. Okay. ES 6,600 is going to be a big level to get through. I'll tell you that right now. Psych level, going to be important to get through. We'll see how we respond. Okay. I'll tell you that right now. Okay. The rest of the market as a whole, Apple, really good. You know, really good balance over 231 into 233. You held 233, sat at 233, 234 for the remainder of the day. Great push. Over 234, looking for 237. Great overall look. AVGO, new all-time highs yesterday, and they kind of came back. We're kind of just like, same thing with NVIDIA, like just kind of ranging up here. The funny part is SMH is at all-time highs, looks so good. You know, AVGO is just kind of, again, we're just doing nothing, kicking rocks, okay? When I always go into my, you know, my big three stocks that really move the market, especially like a NASDAQ, right? Because again, I focus so much on NASDAQ because if you're day trading, you're probably trading within the NASDAQ 9 out of 10 times, right? And your biggest names for me are AVGO, Apple, and NVIDIA. And Apple had a good move early on, but basically from 9:30 on, you ranged. Same thing on NVIDIA, same thing on AVGO. Just range. So again, why you didn't get much as far as like the market is concerned, and why it's just choppy action. Now, Again, I will be paying attention to NVIDIA going into next week above 190 or 179.4. I'm looking for 184. My personal opinion, how I'm viewing the market. If you have any questions, please let me know. But ultimately, what I'm looking for there is that nice push towards 184, 183. If you can get back above 179.5, I'll tell you that right now. Apple back above 234.5, pushing 237. What are you looking for there? I'm done with UNH, guys, to tell you that right now. I've traded it. I've traded it again. I'll get back into it maybe later, but as of now, I'm happy with this trade. Dunzo. Also done with Oscar so far. Maybe I'll get back into it, but the range traded pretty good. I'm just done with it for now. One of the biggest surprises is still Palantir. I've talked about it. And I mentioned, above 156, you're pretty nice. Above 162, you're really nice. And then you started getting back above 168, yesterday's highs, and you just or Wednesday's highs, and you're just churning up now, pushing back towards 173, 176. Still very strong. Both of the levels I'll be watching. 176.3 is a more significant level, so definitely be watching that one. Tesla, massive trade here. I actually didn't trade this, but Jordan has really been hammering this one home. He has gone into detail around Tesla, what we're looking at, all the key levels. He had everything marked out here. So, again, a lot of people went off this trade as well. But, again, where you're at, pushing up towards 400, you still look pretty good. But the big thing here was what I mentioned before, right? You broke the lower high trend, started mounting above these levels. We got kind of cautious till we got to 160 or 365, 360. You mounted that, and it was a straight line into our next levels. Now we're looking for 410, 400. We get above that, you're off to the races at that point, okay? Another big area is CrowdStrike and cloud/cybersecurity. Crowd's at our 438 level. If you can hold above 438, looking for 455, 456. Above 456, rocket launchers, you're shooting off there. You look great. Netflix, I talked about this one yesterday, but, I mentioned it as well this morning immediately once I recognized, but you were looking really good, and then you came down to 1,200, and you sat there. I know this is just a massive level here at 1,200. We lost this level. I was looking straight down towards 1180, 1185 conservatively. Easy trade on the day. And you kind of sat in it and just grinded down. Took a while, but still played out. If you can get back above 1,200, looking for the 50 SMA at 1,230. Above 1,230, you're bullish again, but until then, be cautious. I always say this, guy, there's no reason to be rushing into a bunch of trades, guys. There's just not, especially in this environment, in this market. Just take setups you like, and really have some confidence in those plays. Because again, I will tell you, I have been screaming this in Discord. I just want to show this. Again, some of you guys might be like, well, Tyler, I want 30 trades. Well, Discord, it just might not be for you. That's totally fine. I am not in the business of promoting people to get rich quick. But I literally said this yesterday. I didn't even trade. I did nothing. I turned the computer off yesterday. Please don't overtrade if we get stuck in a range again. It's literally been the same thing on repeat. We want to test all-time highs. Just be patient, etc. Right? So just stop forcing a bunch of trades. Because, again, this is what happens, traditionally speaking. Let me just paint a graph for you, right? So what usually happens is, let's just say this is, trade. Let's say this is going up is, the trade you're taking, this is just the amount of time you're in the market, forever, right? So this is infinite, right? But what happens is let's say, let's say for, May, this is, sorry, I'm writing this with my mouse, so it's a little bit difficult. And then we'll do September, and then this is obviously the time in between. So let's say you go through this, right? And you have a great May, you have a great summer, you're doing great, right? We had a phenomenal run. But then you come to an area like in August and September, and the market kind of slows down, and it's not the environment that you love, right? So this environment, you loved it. This was just great action. You had great setups, big breakout, etc. But then you start doing the same amount and the same quantity of trades, right? You want to do this. You're trying to mimic the same thing you're doing, but you're just giving it back because the action isn't as good, right? This represents your portfolio of how much money you have, whatever, right? That's traditionally what's happening. We try to continue to think that everything's going to be repeatable, right? As far as the number and amount of trades you're taking. Your strategy should be repeatable, but the amount of trades you're taking probably isn't going to be repeatable. You're going to have seasons of this is great, this is terrible. That's normal, right? And so when you're looking at it from that viewpoint, at least when I'm looking at it, it's knowing when to turn it on, when to turn it off, right? And this has just been a period of where I'm like, dude, you're at all-time highs. I'm super bullish, but I'm not taking a bunch of short-term day trades. I'll take UNH. I've took, TSM, took some smaller trades, but there's no reason for me to up the ante here, right? I've already done really well. You're coming to the end of the year. Do I want to give all that back? Like, what is happening? Where's your mental headspace? And I think we don't visualize it in that sense. We visualize trading. In my opinion, when I talk to people, is every day it's like we start from zero. I think that's what people really think. And it's like, okay, well, I made $5,000 yesterday, but I got to do it again today. That's not really the representation. I always say this: take what the market gives you. Stop trying to take whatever you want from the market. You're going to have setups, react to those setups, take those setups. Stop trying to just make setups up in your head and, really just operating based off of emotions and not really having a plan and understanding when you're on your edge, when you have, something on the positive side of your edge and when you have something on the negative side of your edge, right? So again, my viewpoint, what I'm looking at. If you have any questions, comment down below. See you guys tomorrow. Have a good one, traders.